All right, fantasy basketball fans, are you ready for another deep dive into the BFBA? It's week 13 in the Brooklyn Fantasy Basketball Association, and things are heating up as we get closer to the playoffs. You guys sent us some amazing stuff this week, score standings, and even news about a web series, so we're going to break it all down.
It really is fascinating to see how much is happening both on and off the court. We've got teams at opposite ends of the spectrum, one finally breaking a losing streak, another one facing some real financial limitations. And it just shows that, strategy and a little bit of luck, they both play such a big role in fantasy sports.
Okay, so let's start with that underdog story. The Nether Chosen Warriors, owned by Malcolm Baring, they finally got their first win after 11 straight losses. You got to admire that kind of persistence.
Absolutely, especially this late in the season. I mean, they're still at the bottom of the standings. But this win, it could be a turning point. Makes you wonder, is it a fluke? Or have the Warriors actually found their stride?
Yeah, it really does make you wonder, like, did they make some, savvy moves on the waiver wire, or did their players just suddenly have, like, a killer week?
Yeah, it's possible they finally found the right combination of players. Maybe they picked up a hot free agent or, player on their bench just had a breakout performance. We'll have to look closer at their roster moves to see if we can spot any strategic brilliance there.
Now, on the flip side, we have the DC Hustlers, owned by Travis, and they are the first team to completely drain their $1,000 budget. Oof, that has got to be a tough spot to be in.
It's a real test of Travis's fantasy basketball skills. It's like being a general manager with a salary cap. Every decision really matters. But, this isn't necessarily a death sentence for the Hustlers. I'm fascinated to see how he navigates this challenge. Does he focus on trading for high-value players? Or does he try to make some really shrewd pickups from the waiver wire?
It is kind of like watching a real-life NBA team manage their salary cap. He might have to get creative with trades or find those, like, hidden gems that other teams have overlooked.
Exactly, and we'll see if he can maintain a competitive roster with these limitations. This could be like a master class in resource management.
And let's not forget about the teams at the top. BXBA Mob, owned by Randy, is holding strong at the #1 seed for the 5th week in a row. Are we looking at a potential dynasty here?
A 5-week streak at this point in the season.
Yeah.
That is impressive. It definitely shows consistency, strong decision-making. But let's not crown them champions just yet. There are some hungry teams right behind them, like the Brooklyn Vikings Valhalla, who are tied with BXBA Mob for the top spot. Randy's got to stay on top of his game if he wants to keep that lead.
No lead is safe in the BFBA. Speaking of which, the race for the playoffs is getting really tight. Only the top 8 teams make the cut, and there are several teams battling it out for those coveted spots.
Yeah, right now. You've got the Evil Empire, South Korea's Soul Brothers, the Sham Gods, and NY Mindset of Fighters all vying for those top positions. And then it gets really interesting. We've got a 3-way tie for 7th place between the Brooklyn Stoop Kids, Valar Morgulis, and two quit Beaufort Bombers are just outside looking in. So every matchup is crucial. It's really anyone's game at this point.
So let's rewind back to week 12 for a second.
Yep.
Were there any scores or matchups that stood out to you?
Well, the Sham Gods win over Shake and Bake 2.0 was pretty decisive. They won 1595.3 to 1194.8. I mean, that's a serious beatdown. I wonder if Jose, the owner of Shake and Bake 2.0, if he's feeling the pressure. Maybe we'll get some insight into his strategy in upcoming episodes of Conversations with the Commissioner, which, by the way, is hosted by Delonte, the owner of, you guessed it, the Sham Gods.
Wow, talk about a conflict of interest.
It's all in good fun, right?
Right.
But speaking of big wins, the Beaufort Bombers also crushed the South Korea Soul Brothers, 1539.5 to 1320.1. That's got a sting for the Soul Brothers, especially since they're, fighting for that playoff spot.
Yeah, those scores suggest some impressive performances from individual players. I'm dying to know who racked up the most points.
We'll definitely have to dig into the box scores for those games and see who the real stars were. But first, let's shift gears and look at the action unfolding in Week 13. We already have some exciting matchups developing.
Yeah, the Sham Gods, looking to keep that momentum going from last week, facing off against the Beaufort Bombers. Right now, the Sham Gods have a comfortable lead, 761.1 to 625.9.
Yeah, that's a decent lead, but I wouldn't count out the Bombers just yet. We've seen some pretty crazy comebacks in this league. Remember that time the Brooklyn Stoop Kids were down by over 100 points going into Sunday night, and they ended up winning by a hair?
Oh, yeah. That's the beauty of fantasy basketball. Anything can happen. A couple of big games from the Bomber star players could easily shift the momentum. And speaking of close games, the Evil Empire is currently ahead of the South Korea Soul Brothers, 852.9 to 668.4. Yeah, that matchup has huge implications for the playoff race, too. Every win counts at this point. But I'm really curious about how BX Mob will perform against NY Mindset of fighters. Can Randy extend his winning streak to an incredible 8 games?
That's the question on everyone's mind. They're currently leading 744.8 to 611.0, but NY Mindset of Fighters is known for their strong finishes, so I wouldn't be surprised if they make a late push to close that gap.
I'm also keeping a close eye on the matchup between Valar Morghulis and the Nether Chosen Warriors. After finally getting that first win, do the Warriors have what it takes to pull off another upset? Or will Valar Morghulis bring them back down to earth?
Well, right now, Valar Morghulis has a decent lead, 670.7 to 537.3.
Yeah.
But remember, the Warriors are playing with a newfound confidence, and sometimes that can be the difference maker. It's a classic example of a team with momentum versus a team with experience. It'll be interesting to see which factor prevails.
And then there's the DC Hustlers facing off against the Brooklyn Vikings Valhalla with no budget left. It's a real David versus Goliath situation, isn't it?
It really is. The Vikings Valhalla are a powerhouse team currently leading 828.6 to 538.2. But Travis has a knack for finding value where others don't. I mean, this is the guy who managed to draft a starting caliber point guard in the last round of the draft.
Yeah, maybe he's got some more tricks up his sleeve to make up for the lack of funds. This could be a defining moment for him. If he can pull off an upset here, it would be legendary.
Absolutely. It would show that, strategic genius can sometimes trump financial advantage. It's a great reminder that in fantasy basketball, anything is possible.
Beyond the scores and the standings, there's a lot happening off the court as well. You mentioned conversations with the commissioner. It sounds like a really cool way for fans to kind of get inside the minds of the team owners.
Yeah, it really is. It's like having access to the locker room, hearing the players' thoughts and strategies firsthand. Plus, it's hosted by Delonte, who's not only the commissioner, but also a team owner himself. So it adds a really unique perspective.
Yeah. I love that they're giving fans this kind of behind-the-scenes access. And speaking of behind the scenes, what about this new web series, The Breakdown? Have you had a chance to check it out yet?
I have. Episode 2 just dropped, and it's fascinating. They're doing a deep dive into the league's history, interviewing past champions, and even showing some of the most memorable moments from past seasons.
Sounds like they're really trying to capture the spirit of the BFBA. Do you think they'll cover some of the current storylines too, like the DC Hustlers' financial woes or the BXBA Mob's impressive winning streak?
I'm sure they will. I mean, those are the kind of narratives that make this league so compelling. It would be great to see them explore, Travis's strategies for managing his budget or get Randy's perspective on what it takes to build a winning team.
I love that they're adding this visual element to League. It's like taking a peek behind the curtain. You really feel like you're a part of the action.
And then there's the BFBA Team Shop, which is going to be a great way for fans to show their support for their favorite teams.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. What kind of merch do you think they'll have? Jerseys, hats, maybe even those little foam fingers they sell at stadiums?
I'm hoping they'll get creative with it. Maybe they'll design some unique team logos or come up with some funny slogans. I'm sure it'll be a hit with the fans.
It's amazing how much the BFBA has grown beyond just the games themselves. It's becoming a whole universe with this web series, the podcast, and now even merchandise.
It's a testament to the passion and dedication of everyone involved. From the commissioner to the team owners to the fans, the BFBA has created a real community, and it's only getting bigger and better.
So with all this excitement brewing, what's your take on the overall state of the league? Where do you see things heading as we approach the playoffs?
I think the BFBA is at like a really exciting point. You can just feel the energy building as we head into the second half of the season. Playoffs right around the corner, and the intensity is only going to ramp up.
Exactly. Every win, every move on the waiver wire matters. The big question is who is going to take home that championship trophy?
Yeah, it's truly anyone's game at this point. I mean, BXBA Mob has been dominant, but, can Randy keep up that momentum? The Brooklyn Vikings, Valhalla, they're right there with them. And teams like the Evil Empire and the Sham Gods, they're definitely capable of making a deep playoff run.
And don't forget about those teams fighting for a playoff spot. A couple of good weeks could easily change everything. That's what I love about the BFBA. It's unpredictable, full of surprises.
This is where, the strategic decisions really come into play. Who's going to make those bold trades? Who's going to find those, under-the-radar players who just explode in the playoffs? It's all about reading the trends, managing your roster, and, sometimes getting a little lucky.
And, of course, we can't forget about the DC Hustlers. Can Travis pull off an against-all-odds victory with zero budget left? It would be truly remarkable.
It would really be a testament to his fantasy basketball genius. I mean, he's already proven he can compete with the best, even with limited resources. So if he can make it to the playoffs, who knows what could happen?
Yeah, his story is a good reminder that even when things look bleak, you can always turn things around. So for all you listeners out there, what would you do if you were in Travis's shoes? What moves would you make? What risks would you take?
This deep dive, it's given us a lot to think about. The underdog story of the Nether Chosen Warriors, the strategic challenges facing the DC Hustlers. Every team has their own unique story that's unfolding.
And it's not just about the games anymore. The BFBA is creating a whole universe for its fans with the breakdown, conversations with the commissioner, and even the upcoming team shop. It's a great time to be a BFBA fan.
So as we head into the most exciting part of the season, I want you to think about this. What strategies would you use if you were a team owner in the BFBA? And who are you rooting for to take home the championship?
Let us know your thoughts and predictions using hashtag #TheDeepDiveBFBA. And remember, the BFBA is more than just a game. It's a community of passionate fans, dedicated owners, and a whole lot of fantasy basketball drama. We can't wait to see how it all plays out.